There is a chemistry professor who is purporting to be a great historian, making claims that it is possible the United States should have actually allied with Hitler and not with the communist Stalin.
Yeah, when you look at World War II, Stalin came as an ally in the war, but early on, we hated Stalin. And Roosevelt is very clear that this guy is wicked and evil, but then we get into war and we're not prepared for war. When World War II starts, we're still flying World War I biplanes, but Stalin does have 20 million soldiers will come fight Hitler, and Hitler's what we've got to stop.
And this is where the adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, came from. This is not a defense of Stalin.
No.
It's arguable that Stalin was every bit as evil as Hitler was.
Yes.
And so the fact that he was part of the Allied forces is not a justification of him and what he did.
That's right.
But it's also very dishonest to say, well, if we would have joined with Hitler, because Hitler was really far more oppressed. It's kind of the way the argument goes, right? Because of what happened after World War I and what happened in Germany, it just wasn't fair, and Hitler was trying to do a good thing. It's a crazy argument to make if you consider all of the details. And this is where I understand that people draw different conclusions, but I do question, is it because you have not gotten all the information, right? Are you ignorant of some of that, or are you intentionally promoting something that you know to be false, even though we can't acknowledge two things can be true at once? Hitler was really bad, and Stalin was really bad.
It's not an either or.
But it's also true when we went against Hitler and Stalin says, I want to help you beat Hitler, we were like, we will take all the help we can get because we're going to need help to beat this guy.
He's got to be taken out first. So we're going to put all of our major resources in Europe, even though we've got the Japanese and they're the ones who attacked us. Hitler didn't. We've got to get rid of Hitler first because that will cause Japan to collapse if they don't have the support. 80% of their oil they had to import. Japan didn't have enough resources to keep their navy in the sea. So you take Hitler out, and so it was called the Germany First approach. Now, he's responsible for about 45 million deaths. So if we can get him isolated and done, then we can win the Pacific, we can stop the World War, stop the killing. Stalin originally is an allied Hitler, and then Hitler turns on Stalin and goes and kills the biggest land battle in the history of the world. Was the Germans and the Russians fighting each other. And that's when Stalin says, hey, I'll join the Allies. And he brings 20 million troops that are fighting Hitler, and we say, we can use those 20 million troops. But at that point, we started trying to isolate him with what was going on. We had what was called Operation Paperclip, where we were taking the brains out of the Nazi Empire, and we did not let him know about it because we didn't want the brains going over to the Soviet side. So we knew he was a problem, but we needed to win the war.